Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Uchi, and of course, we are back in once again with another Dino Fury review. This is actually episode 8, and what do you know, we're already at the everyone's favorite mid-season finale.
Boo! You stink!
This episode was titled Unexpected Guest. If you were avoiding any kind of spoilers or managed to miss the official reveal of Mechanic, this character, if you're unfamiliar, this character is from Ninja Steel. He makes his debut in Power Rangers Dino Fury. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So to quickly summarize and review this entire episode in a bite-sized fashion, I'd like to just cover it in 5 key elements. The episode purpose, any conflicts that arose, anything that we learned from the episode, any resolutions that happened, and predictions that I might have going forward in, well, whenever this series does return, which I would imagine probably be around like August, September-ish. So we'll see what happens. So the purpose of this week's episode was to find out what the Nexus Prism's deal was all about. If you didn't watch Ninja Steel, I actually haven't completed all of Ninja Steel myself. I've actually only seen a few select episodes, including my favorite. You'll come to find that the Nexus Prism is actually a very important piece of hardware material, which I'll actually go over in the things that we learned. And obviously, in addition to just finding out what the Nexus Prism was all about, this episode's purpose was to have the Rangers prevent the villains from obtaining such an artifact. So for unexpected guests, this episode's conflict was actually to overcome this monster of the day, Wolfgang's ability, which funny enough, we actually got a very quick start to how this episode began. We had a Zord fight right to start, and usually it doesn't happen unless it's like a 2-part episode where the episode ends with a Zord fight and it kind of just like carries over into the next episode, which from my memory and watching previous Power Ranger episodes. But it was very refreshing to kind of start with high action and whatnot, so I definitely will give my kudos to anyone who made the decision to start this episode the way that it did. The Rangers actually defeated another monster, and then the true monster of the day, which is what I would like to call any monster that we're being introduced to and takes up the majority of the episode. Wolfgang actually had this crazy ability that was able to pretty much disassemble the Zords, and from that was what set the conflict all together. The Rangers were trying to figure out a way to overcome this, because every time this dude made a howl, Zord kind of fell to pieces, or anything that it howled at would pretty much fall to pieces, and they just for whatever reason couldn't figure out a way to overcome that until Mick comes in and aids Solon in creating a no howl drop, which when he actually showed up to the battlefield was kind of fun. He literally just threw the drop into its mouth, and it just had like a high-pitched voice, wasn't able to howl, I guess, and because of that the ability was then nullified, and it allowed the Rangers to obviously do what I'm sure you can foresee me saying, but we'll get into that from the resolutions to come. With the help of Mick and his no howl drop, the Rangers were of course able to not only just defeat Wolfgang, but right after they defeated Boom Tower as well. The funny thing is, this is also an episode where we're finally seeing the joint unification Zord, or I shouldn't even say it like that, but this is the true Dino Fury Megazord, where you would expect to see all 5 main Zords combined, and its name is dubbed the Dino Fury Megazord Warrior Formation. And what's crazy is this Zord is powerful enough to of course take on 2 villains, because like I said, it took out Wolfgang and Boom Tower. So now from here on out, Boom Tower is officially out of the picture. For now, I guess. So now to go to some of the things that we learned throughout the episode. So earlier on, when Mick first made his debut, he actually introduced himself by saying that he's had selfies with 40 Rangers across the galaxy, not really specifying which, but I kind of am curious as to whom across the galaxy he encountered to take selfies with. I hope that maybe does turn up somewhere later in Dino Fury, or at all at some point in Power Rangers. At some point, he's also the one that obviously tells the Rangers of this whole Nexus Prism situation in the first place. And more importantly, in regards to the Nexus Prism, it actually has a direct connection and tie to the Morphin Masters. So since the first episode, I want to say this is our first time in a while that we're seeing the Morphin Masters used in another episode of Dino Fury at all, and it was actually really freaking cool to see, because we got to also see Dato's mind control ability, which I honestly forgot that he had to read the mind of this object, which is kind of ridiculous if you think about it, because when you have a mind control ability, you figure like you would be able to read like another being's mind. Well, I guess the fact is that the Nexus Prism is something greater than just being some kind of mystical artifact. It's actually something with a mind and memories of its own, which Zato was able to read, which I really do think is really cool. And I'm gonna actually read off. I had to write all of this down because I wanted to make sure that all of this was accurate. And he does see the Morphin Masters creating the mystical artifacts to create teams of Rangers using the Morphin Grid. And a part of those artifacts was the Nexus Prism. So the Prism was then sent out into the universe to fight evil, and it found its way to Earth millions of years later. This was how Ninja Steel obtained their powers. They actually showed the Gold Ranger here obtaining his directly from the Nexus Prism itself. Zato also reveals that after the Ninja Steel's mission was done, it vanished. Zato also mentioned that it did look like the Morphin Masters have been keeping a close eye on some of the Ranger teams from recent years, including Beast Morphers, Ninja Steel, and their own Dino Fury as well. However, the last bit that Zato did mention was that the Nexus Prism was still out looking for something, and obviously been looking for something since it came to Earth. What that is, we don't know yet, and we actually don't know at all throughout this episode, because how the episode ends is kind of on a lighter note. The Rangers do eat samples of the know-how candy, or the drop. They thought it was candy, which it's like, how would you guys think it was candy? You guys just saw Mick feed it to a monster. Power Rangers. But it ends on a lighter note where they all like kind of sound like animals. You ever watch that one episode of SpongeBob where they're just like cursing and it's just like random like noises? Well, that's literally what I thought of the first time I saw that. Of course, Mick leaves and notes that him and Solon were not able to decipher where the Nexus Prism was heading to. So of course, Mick made his departure and said that he was going to be still ongoing with tracking it down and seeing where it could end up. Now, the last thing that we did learn before we move on to my predictions, and this is kind of a pretty hefty one, we finally learned the actual reason and purpose behind Void Knight's actions in trying to obtain the Sporix, and this is actually, like I said, a pretty big deal. He's using the energy to somehow bring about this woman who's literally kept in a regeneration looking chamber on some Genova-ish. And if you don't know what Genova is, go look up Final Fantasy VII, because I'm sure with this image I'm showing you guys right now, you'll see the direct connection that I'm obviously making here. Void Knight reveals that this person is his lover. Once upon a time, I guess Void Knight had a relationship with whoever this woman is, and it doesn't look like it's a character that we would be familiar with, or at least not to me. It does seem like this is a brand new character, and it makes me wonder a lot of things, which I guess is a very good time to talk about my predictions. So first things first, I wonder if, and I'm sure at some point this woman will be revived. I do believe, or I would like to think, that this woman is of some kind of a lighter heart, and maybe she will actually be the reason that will help Void Knight become not void. Maybe he'll become the Light Knight or something like that, where he will go from being empty to being full and, you know, back to his normal senses. This wouldn't be the first time where we saw some kind of an evil looking type of ranger that will end up being like good after all. Or it could also go in another very completely dark way, because obviously if you think about it in this sense, this kind of makes a little bit more sense. He's using Sporix, which is energy that's coming from villains. So if he's using evil energy to revive what seems to be some kind of a human, or, you know, some being from another planet that takes on very human-esque traits, she might end up being the big bad. Or this would actually mean that if we go back to what I was first saying, that she decides to bring him back to his senses of being some kind of a good character, that might also bring about the true big bad of the series. Because as it is right now, I love Void Knight's design. I love Void Knight. I've also loved his Ryu Soldier version, but because I've watched Ryu Soldier, I do know that there is such a thing as Ryu Soul Brown, and I kind of hope that they do utilize that suit in some capacity, or maybe do something original that would be even better than that. And I really would like to see that. There's something about seeing a ranger team and you just got hella rangers on there and they're all looking really cool standing next to each other. I am a sucker for that. The other prediction that I have involves the Nexus Prism and where it's going to. I actually do have a very good feeling that it might actually be going to Rafcon, or maybe finding the Gold Ranger altogether, because I don't think they would have used the Gold Ranger from Ninja Steel as a direct piece of footage, as a flashback, for no reason. I think that that itself might be a little bit of a tease, because if they used the Gold Ranger, but when they were talking about it, they mentioned that it was the Ninja Steel Rangers that got its power from the Sporix, why didn't they just show a clip of the whole team then getting its power? They only showed the whole team when the Prism Nexus left, when their mission was complete. But like I said, they only showed the Gold Ranger at the time when they were talking about getting the powers. So I do think that that should be treated as some sort of tease going forward. And considering that we also just got shown who is officially the Gold Ranger for the Dino Fury cast, I think that that would be a pretty sensible thing to do, and it would be kind of dope that that's how we do see the Gold Ranger come into things. So yeah, that's my review of the episode. I thought the episode was pretty good for a mid-season finale. We did actually see a good amount of action. There was some humor in there. Obviously, I didn't really cover any of that stuff, but I mean, you know, I'm just really trying to go over and review the sustenance of the episode. If it didn't have as much sustenance, then I would probably just focus more on obviously all of the other stuff that made the episode not as good. But because of all of the things that were good, it kind of really overshadows any of the comedy side of the episode. The fact that we got Morphin Masters, more backstory, 2 big villain fights for the Zord fight, and then finally the overall formation of all 5 Zord pieces to take out not 1 but 2 big monsters, with one of them being Boom Tower, who's been around for quite some time, while also technically having some kind of minor Ninja Steel crossover, with Mechanic being directly involved in helping them defeat Wolfgang. I really do gotta say that episode 8 for a mid-season finale, as much as I don't like this whole flow of how they release these episodes, was really good. The fact that they are setting themselves up to reveal something bigger with Void Knight, with whoever this person is, and the fact that we are having these conversations about other Rangers across the galaxy being mentioned through Mechanic, through to the Dino Fury team, it does really make me excited for the coming episodes. So that's enough out of me, guys. Thanks again for watching my review. If you do like this new format, I shouldn't really say experimenting with, because I did do this in my last video for the Power Rangers Mighty Morphin issue number 6 that just recently came out. Definitely give that a look. But I do think that this type of format makes it a lot easier and more to the point, because obviously within these reviews, I do want you guys to check out the episode for yourselves, because that's kind of the best way to get anything out of. I feel like it is a lot more efficient this way, so I'm giving you guys all of what happened without really giving you every single bit of detail, so that way you guys still have something and reason to go back and support the official way to watch the episodes. That's enough out of me. Let me know your thoughts and comments in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, hit me up on Twitter, all that good stuff. Supporting links will be in the description as always. Make sure you guys are taking care of yourselves. May the power protect you. Keep it locked, loaded right here on this channel. Stay safe, stay clean, and stay inside. I'll see y'all next time.